been something that way. I didn't go, so I can't really remember. I know they had the thing was 6, 8 feet long, and down there in the scout room. They built it, and then they took it out one winter. We used to have snow here.
Yes.
I mean, we used to have to shovel this, after
Yes.
put this church in, the snow would all slide down and get 4 feet high
Yeah.
in front of the two side doors, and the scouts would come out here and shovel it away. There was one night that we'd had rain, 2 inches of rain at about 20 degrees, and it was, so 2 inches of ice was on the ground. And we had a scout meeting out here. We didn't stay home. Everybody came.
Yeah.
Did you ever have, nowadays they have, at least that I've been learning the last few years with my son, is that various troops will have what's called camporees, where they compete against other local troops or other, with various scout skills. I remember a couple years ago, one of the things was flipping on a rock. Did you all have any, established activities like that, like you do now?
There were camporees.
District activities?
Yeah.
I remember that, there were camporees, but,
I'm not sure competition. We just demonstrate scout skills.
yeah, it seemed like it was that, wasn't it?
Was it
Shall I
called
start
Scoutorama?
There was
Whatever you
Scoutorama
wanna
too.
call it.
Is that different than Camporee?
I don't remember, I'm sorry, but there were.
Okay.
Yeah.
From my familiarity with Scoutorama, when I was growing up, they did an event out by the mall in
Yes.
the field.
When
and
my
they
kids,
would build like pioneering
Yes.
towers and
Yeah.
have different games and
Yes.
obstacles that people would come to the mall and just have fun and enjoy themselves, whereas
yes,
the camporee was more the scouts taking part in it.
right.
Yes.
That's what Scoutorama is what my kids were in.
Yes.
And yeah, they would build monkey bridges, and it was much more public view.
Shall I
It was more to have the public come see
start
scouting.
saying a little bit
Hmm?
about
Let's do last
my
question,
experience
I
with the
think-
troop and my scouting?
I didn't notice that there
Shall I
was a
start
project
talking
that's
about
in
that
Scotland.
rather
Yeah.
than all this troop?
There is,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's the blue in
Well.
this one.
Like I say about my arrangement here with scouting in Bartlesville, I've been with the Cub Scouts as councilman and so forth for about 3 or 4 years when my boys were coming along, and my wife was a den mother also when the boys were coming along, and then when they got out of Cub Scouts, actually the oldest one, Roland, he didn't want to join Boy Scouts. I said, well, okay, I don't care, but you're gonna miss out in life of a whole lot of things that I'm never gonna tell you, because I don't know. I'm not a hunter, I'm not a boater, I'm more a scientist, I guess, or something or other. And if you wanna know these things, you better join the Scouts. And so he waited about 2 years until Tom came along, and they both joined the troop. And then, they stuck with it. And then, Robert and William came along, and all 4 of them made Eagle. And their names are over here. And then, if you look over there some more, Roland the third, my grandson Roland, and his brother Joel Harrison are all Eagles. But that's only a part of the family, because I had girls.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were first-class Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
And then, as the boys got married, a number of them had sons, and they've become Eagles. And the girls got married, 2 of them to Scouters that were also Eagles, and they've had children that are Eagles. So at the present time, there are about 18 Eagle Scouts coming down from me, and there would be one more in about another month. And then after he's done, his brother is 2 years younger maybe, hopefully he will get it. So there may be 20 Eagles so far in the troop. You were talking,
That should be an article in Scouting Magazine.
Well,
That's
National
What?
Eagle Scout Association
Yeah.
Well-
published pictures of
yeah, multi-generational Eagle Scouts.
my son William had 6 sons, that's his family, and every one of them were Eagles, but they didn't decide to join this troop.
That's a lot of Eagle Scouts.
Yeah,
It is.
and as he was saying, things you get out of scouting to remember and do as you get older. My oldest son, Roland, was an Eagle Scout. He learned first aid. And one day, over here in this house that was across the street, they were having the church office was over there instead of being here. And so one day at noon, he was over there, and one of the secretaries or something other like that had a heart attack. And he got down and gave her artificial and resuscitation, and she survived, and she's still around here.
Oh, wow.
And then, speaking of camping, things about seeing animals, Roland also, when he left college, he came back, and he was a scoutmaster here for 1 or 2 years. And I think it was probably during that time that he took the troop out there to one of the camps, McClintock.
Yes.
And one night, he woke up because it smelled and he was being bitten by a skunk. It was in his bedroll.
Oh.
And it bit him, and he tried to kind of grab it, but it got away. He wasn't really sure what it was, I guess, initially. And so after that, he had to come in and get the shots.
The rabies.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but nobody wanted to give him the rabies. I mean, Phillips, he worked for Phillips. Doctors didn't want to give him because it's not always healthy.
Yeah.
Apparently there's some infections or people, I don't know what it is, but the doctor for there wouldn't do it. A regular doctor at the hospital wouldn't do it. Seemed like he had to go out on an emergency basis, something like that. And he finally, started giving him the shots for rabies, all of them in his stomach.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and he survived well.
Yeah.
Back when I was a scout, things were a lot different than they are. You didn't join until you were 12 years old. It wasn't 11. And so I waited, I joined almost the end of my 12th year, almost 13, and which was in 1940. And we had really good leaders at that time, 1940.
Which means you weren't a Cub Scout.
I was never a Cub
Yeah,
Scout.
because the
No.
Cub Scouts didn't exist.
I don't know about
Probably
that.
not.
Yeah, no, they didn't. It's a fairly new program.
So in 1940 and 41, had really a lot of good times. But you know what happened in December 41? Pearl
Yeah.
Harbor.
Yeah.
Oh,
And our leaders left,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of them. So in 1942, it was not too good a thing for the troops, and I was harassed. There were no leaders in our troop, really.
The
Our
leaders
scoutmaster
all
was-
shook their head when you said Pearl Harbor, but do the youth know what Pearl Harbor was? Okay, all right, just checking.
Okay, and one of our men who had been one of the assistant scoutmasters that we'd had in the troop there during 40 and 41 was off, and he died in the Marine Corps as a medic on Torado, one of the islands out in the Pacific. And so with very few leaders, I was harassed in 43, but I didn't tell anybody. I just stayed with it and let them do it. And as a result of that, I really didn't get life-saving merit badge, which was one of the 4 that was required at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
And I went on and did get my 21 merit badges. But there were a couple others that I didn't try. But there were a few leaders. That summer, the next summer in 43, there were even less leaders. And at the age of still almost 15, not quite 16, I went to summer camp, had a great time, but I was in charge of mess hall and everything, and cooking merit badge, first aid merit badge, and everything except water sports.
You were the leader,
That's one of them,
because there weren't any adults.
There were very few adults, but I'm glad nobody got hurt. And that required anything more than a patch with some iodine. But talking about hikes, at that time, I don't know, first class requirement now is you don't have the 14-mile hike, do they? We had to have a, huh?
It's a
5 miles? Oh. We had to do 14, and,
That's right, it's 14, that's right.
huh?
It's 14.
Well, we did it, I was in Austin, Texas, and the summers down there were 105 or so like that.
Wow.
And I had one canteen that, and I walked from the summer camp on a hot, well, they told me where to go, and the book said you could only have 2 people going. But there were so few people that I did it by myself. And we walked along the sideway of a hot asphalt road most of the time, and not in under the nice trees and everything else. That was the route we were supposed to do. So I did it. I went 7 miles from the camp into the town and filled my canteen and rested a little bit and turned around and walked back all the time like that. So I got it. What else? Anybody? I did bring the merit badges were somewhat different. I was a patrol leader one time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good stuff in here in this patrol leader's handbook. And then there's, one of the sponsoring guys for our troop was a bookbinder. So I had bookbinding merit badge. This is the one, he did most of the work. He didn't want us to cut off our fingers. But it's still here. But there's a very great deal of things, and I still pull it out to use once in a while because of, it talks about a whole lineup of fishes, flowers and trees. You want to know what kind of bark and the leaves and everything else like that about a tree and where they grow in the United States. It's all in this book. I don't know whether your current book has that or not.
I don't think it
Our
has that
current,
much.
scout book,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Boy Scout Handbook, 1940 edition.
I think it does, if I can find it.
You still have to do some kind of tree identification, don't you? For something.
But then this was my brother's. This was a 1949 edition, I think. But
I don't think I can find the tree that we did.
it was interesting, and
They have a lot in there.
I enjoyed my scouting, and then, of course, I was on the troop committee here too as a treasurer for most of the time. I like to be treasurer, but I guess that's.
Got time for about one more question. Anybody have other questions?
Nobody has. Okay,
There's one.
go ahead.
What was your favorite part about being treasurer?
My part.
What was your favorite part about being treasurer?
Oh, I like money. I'm Scotch.
Even when it's not really yours, huh?
Not really yours. Yeah. Well, I've been in some other organizations where they wanted you be president sometime, and the Genealogy Society, I was treasurer for 33 years.
Wow.
I never wanted to be chairman of the whole thing.
I will mention if you ever search on Amazon Books for authors by Mr. Roland Harrison, you'll find his book is out there.
Really?
Oh,
You wrote
yeah.
a book?
Yes.
What is it?
Buried Cities, Forgotten Gods.
Really?
Yeah. It's a biography of one of my grandfathers, and he was an archaeologist, mineralogist, born in Scotland, was in the military. He was a second lieutenant in the field artillery, a volunteer thing. He was over there. He was also, they would put on plays on the stage, and I have copies in the newspaper where he appeared in 4 different plays like that, and he was listed as being the well received.
What is the book called again?
Buried Cities,
Buried
For-
Cities Forgotten.
Forgotten Gods, because that's mostly what